6 minutes starts now.
They still don't know exactly what the FBI seized from President Trump's personal lawyer. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Prosecutors have not gotten a look, nor has Michael Cohen, who was in court a week after the FBI raids.
The judge denied Cohen's motion for a temporary restraining order to keep investigators from going through the seized documents, saying the matter is moot because the government has agreed not to access the documents for now. Instead, the decision was made to have the government make copies of all physical and electronic documents to give to Cohen's attorney.
That's Fox's Laura Engel outside the court in New York. A deputy was shot in Harris County, Texas early this morning. He's stable but needed surgery. The gunman was also shot and wounded. Syria claimed early today it was attacked again. Then state TV called that a false alarm. Following the U.S. airstrikes over the reported deadly chemical attack, Fox's Simon Owen monitoring live from London.
Dave, as UN inspectors continue to wait for access to the site of the suspected attack in the town of Douma, France joining the US and saying it's essential this team is allowed in. Russia said yesterday that the experts were missing a permit, but it says they can visit tomorrow. The French Foreign Ministry striking a pessimistic tone, saying it's likely proof of any attack has disappeared. Syria did fire off air defense missiles overnight after reports of another incoming attack, but it was a false alarm. Dave?
Simon, the Supreme Court hears a case this morning that could affect online shopping and businesses that don't charge sales taxes in states where they don't have a location.
Many online retailers like home goods company Wayfair can avoid charging the tax. Larger companies like Macy's, Target, and Walmart with stores in most states do collect sales tax online. A couple of years ago, South Dakota passed a law requiring online sellers to collect sales tax in its state, a law the state can enforce without a win at the Supreme Court.
Fox's Jared Halpert. It's tax deadline day. You have to put a return or an extension. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Your yard is not just a yard. It's a baseball diamond, a water park, a movie theater, and a grand banquet hall. Your yard is where memories are made, and you have the best seat in the house with the John Deere X350 Select Series tractor. Now equipped with the exclusive one-touch mulch control system, you can tell your clippings where to go, out the chute, or back into your lawn with just the push of a button. Nothing runs like family, and nothing runs like a Deere. Visit your local John Deere dealer to test drive one today.
Let's see here. Fire protection?
Check.
Uniforms, mats, and restroom products?
Check.
First aid cabinets and safety products?
Check.
Great! So it sounds like we're ready to go.
No. When I said check, I meant we still need to check on all those things.
Oh, just call Cintas. They can handle all of it. It's what they do.
Okay. Call Cintas. Check. I mean, got it.
Oh, I'm ready!
Learn how Cintas can help you get ready for the workday. Visit Cintas.com.
It's just a drill. That's the warning to folks in the Manasquan area, where law enforcers will be going through a series of active shooter scenarios at a former school on Friday.
You're trying to create muscle memory of sorts, and that's why it's important to do these things.
Monmouth County Prosecutor Chris Gramiccione says the exercise is not in response to any threat, just a way to be better prepared. There will be some road closures in the area. Monday's wicked weather brought lightning strikes across New Jersey. In Bayhead, the historic Grayville Hotel was hit, blowing parts of the roof into the street. In Bayhead, a lightning strike is believed to be the cause of a fire that destroyed 2 homes a couple of blocks from the beach. The case against a New Jersey man found with comedian Rosie O'Donnell's missing daughter 3 years ago has now been dismissed. 28-year-old Stephen Shearer had been facing charges of child endangerment. O'Donnell reported her 17-year-old daughter, Chelsea, missing from New York 4 days before she was found hiding in the attic of Shearer's Barnegat home. I'm Eric Scott, and this is the Town Square News Network.
We'll see a mix of sun and clouds across New Jersey today. It'll stay cool and breezy with highs around 50. In addition, spotty showers will develop this afternoon. Still a shower chance this evening, then clearing skies and chilly temperatures. Lows in the mid-30s. And tomorrow, not too bad. Mostly sunny, highs around 60. We'll see more 60s on Thursday. Congrats on the new home. Live whole with complete home insurance coverage from Franklin Mutual Insurance. Find an agent near you at fmiweb.com. Franklin Mutual Insurance, for the way you live. I'm meteorologist Dan Zero.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on Wpgg Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. It's 5 minutes past the hour. This portion of Hurley in the Morning presented by, paid for by, sponsored by the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, Chuck Malamut, in our 27th year together here as Chuck being the official financial advisor for our program. Chuck is the managing director and leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. To reach Chuck and his group, 609-383-2010. And this program is presented by Chuck, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. Good morning, Chuck. It's been quite a morning, and you are standing next to the birthday boy.
Good morning, Kirk.
Happy
birthday. With 51. Yes. I'm the amazing Kreskin. Look at that.
And I am Pocket Kreskin.
So
I'll tell Kreskin when he calls in at 9:40 that he was actually here at 8:05 because he said so.
but happy birthday, Kirk. I know maybe another year or two above that, but all good stuff. Wow, quite an hour to follow, so I'm not quite certain where we're going to start.
How about with market update?
Other than the fact that over the last several days now, it seems as if the market is now starting to focus on earnings and is less focused on the story of the day, what's coming from Washington.
Chuck, I saw a doom and gloom story about earnings dubious, some concern about earnings. What say you?
I wouldn't be concerned about earnings. I think if you look at and obviously it's way too early in the game. We started out on Thursday. BlackRock reported the earnings beat expectations, and on Friday, the two big banks reported. This morning, and and Monday the earnings continue. Today they continue as well. For the most part, you're beating not only in the top line, you're beating on the bottom line, and a lot of those beats are pretty significant. So at the end of the day, I think and we kind of talked about this for 2 weeks leading up to the release of earnings or earnings season starting, that wouldn't it be nice if we could really focus on what makes the market go, which is fundamentals and not
you've been waiting for this,
and not so much these stories that come out of Washington, right, wrong, or indifferent. So if you take a look at last week in particular, again we had volatility. It was sort of the name of the game, but it seems as if now that is going to start to subside somewhat, and I think that's going to be a relief to investors because these moves of 1% or greater for 24 days during the first quarter. I mean that's obviously pretty significant. But we obviously are concerned about trade, and trade looks to be sort of now on a back burner between U.S. and China. Syria with the takeout over the weekend, and Harry, I kind of thought about this, and maybe sometimes we overthink, but I found it interesting that the strikes occurred over the weekend when the financial markets were closed. Now, I'm not quite certain if that had anything to do with it, other than the fact that when we came in on yesterday, Dow futures, S&P futures, NASDAQ futures were all up, traded up all day. And now as we look at this morning, the futures, Dow futures are up triple digits as well. So I don't know, and again, we don't talk politics. That's something for you and Kirk. But I just found it sort of ironic that the bombings occurred basically over a weekend. Now maybe I'm reading too much into that.
Well, it's usually I agree with you with your assessments, but on this occasion I don't, because I studied, for example, when President Reagan set up an operation to bomb Libya, and I'm trying to think of the other, Beirut or somewhere else. Took 10 days of planning. This took several days of planning before you could actually do it, And at the time they were ready to do it, and then the French agreed to give clearance and to participate, and the UK agreed to participate. It was the weekend, and so I truly believe it took place at the earliest time that the coalition was put together and that they were ready and had the strategy planned, and so it happened when it happened. I don't think that the weekend had anything to do with it other than that's when it fell.
Well, I guess the good news for all of us, at least in the financial world, is that immediately when that event happens, the market typically goes through a fairly quick sell-off, and then
what was great was the markets got to absorb while they were closed that 110 hits all made their targets, that we took no casualties. Many times you lose a warship in this kind of thing, or anything can happen. It went just perfectly. So by the time the markets opened up, they really just processed the fact that a successful strike that was a targeted strike that was proportionate or maybe disproportionate to what Assad had done had taken place, and that the world had genuinely or generally received it well. So the markets didn't have even a hiccup because of it.
No, and as a result, as we got into Friday, the markets were about 2% S&P for the week. Commodities, were the best performing sector. Technology was also a standout. Income oriented sectors, utilities and the like, they were the worst for the week. But again, we don't like to focus on any particular week, any particular day. But I think when you kind of put it all in perspective, as year-to-date technology, consumer discretionary, are leading the pack, and on the flip side, real estate, telecom, and consumer staples and utilities are the worst performing sectors of the S&P 500.
Why, with more refinery capacity that we've had, and we're producing more oil than we've produced, doesn't seem to be any. I haven't seen any legitimate disruption of oil supply. Why is the price of gasoline going up the way that it is?
Harry, that's a really good question, because we are producing more than we've done historically in the past, and I'm going to say it's demand. When you look at the fact that our economy.
And by the way, Kirk said double.
I did hear that.
So we're producing double of what we used to, and yet it's going up.
So if you look at the price of West Texas, a year ago, $53.19, closed on Friday at $67.50. The price at the pump, right now is at $2.69, nationally speaking, and compared to a year ago at about $2.42, which represents an increase of about 11%. So what is happening, the good news for consumers, is the price at the pump is not moving as high as the price of West Texas, which is up about 26%.
See if you agree
year
with
over
this.
year.
See if you agree with this Kirk Conover theory, and that is that the economy has improved, so consumption is up. And this is a byproduct of that as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, last week, all to itself, I mean, energy was up about 6%, energy-related stocks, and that is obviously driven by the price of crude. We had seen for a fairly long period of time, energy stocks were pretty much taken for being dead. So the fact that they've come back, they do have, for the most part, relatively healthy dividends, which investors like. It's now a sector that has to be considered, when it comes to your respective planning.
First break. We're going to come right back. He's just getting started. Great opening segment. Chuck Malama, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. To reach the Malama Group, simple to do. Dial 609-383-2010 and find out how Chuck and his team, they've perfected their concept of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation. Coming up a little bit later, Dr. Mark Newkirk at 9:05 and the amazing Kreskin at 9:40 in a amazing Kreskin, Pocket Kreskin special event. This portion of our program also brought to us by Harbor Pines Golf Club, the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program, also the home for the 7th annual Absecon Presbyterian Church Golf Tournament that's coming up on Sunday, May 20th. That's right around the corner. The 11th annual Hurley in the Morning Golf Open, Charity Open, is set for Friday, June 15th at Harbor Pines Golf Club. And the Mother's Day brunch just a few clicks away. Not this Sunday and not, I guess, next Sunday, but a few Sundays from now, 3 weeks or so from now. The Mother's Day brunch, Sunday, May 13th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., all of the details, all of the menu items on the website at harborpines.com. Reservations are required. Dial 609-927-0006, extension 23. Or you can actually, from your digital phone or iPad or computer, laptop, desktop, iPad, whatever, any digital device, email your request to Blaine, B-L-A-N-E, Blaine at harborpines.com. Harbor Pines Golf Club, owned by the legendary Gerwicks family, the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program.
Hey there, it's Reese
and Irvy
from the franchise concept Reese and Irvy's. By now you've heard about our patented frozen yogurt vending robots that serve 7 flavors of delicious frozen yogurt with 6 amazing toppings in less than 60 seconds.
To date, we've sold over 200 franchises, 1,000 robots, and we're officially labeled as one of the hottest franchise opportunities of 2018.
With no employees, no rent, no brick and mortar shops, just fully automated robots that work for you and deliver instant customer satisfaction. Revenue for you, smiles for them.
We secure our franchisees' high foot traffic locations like cinemas, hotels, tourist attractions, colleges, and malls. From installation to instant sensation, we provide you all the tools for Froyo success.
No experience is necessary, and full and part-time franchise opportunities are available.
To find out if your territory is still available, go to froyofranchising.com to learn more, and be sure to enter promo code 3434. That's froyofranchising.com, promo code 3434.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion, signed the most important contract of his life to serve in the Army National Guard.
I've had a lot of military in my family. It's a big part of what my family's done for a long time. I want to go out there and make a difference. I didn't find that working behind a desk, so for me it was a pretty easy decision to make. And then the opportunity to serve my community and serve my country was just icing on the cake.
To learn how to be part of the Army National Guard, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the New Jersey Army National Guard. Aired by the New Jersey Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Errett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. One of the things I value most in life is time. Time to spend with my daughter, time to spend with family, and the time I put into my company that's reinventing the way women color their hair. The busiest, most successful women I know use Madison Reed, the amazing hair color hack. In under an hour and for less than $25, Madison Reed delivers gorgeous, shiny, multi-dimensional, healthy-looking hair with an ammonia-free formula. You'll look like you just came from a salon, but the reality is you have more me time to do what you love. Things get busy. Let us take care of you and your hair. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code HELLO. That's code HELLO. Try it. Love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
Your next chances to win up to $5,000 are coming up at 12:30 and 5:30 this afternoon.
We just won $5,000.
Thank you. Win Harry Hurley's money, powered by Franklin Bank with WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
18 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malama continues all about your financial matters. Are we going to talk, Chuck, about trade tensions?
We can do that, Harry. Actually, what we're seeing here is that it seems as if, as we got to the end of the week, last week, the trade tensions, might be easing somewhat. And as a result, it allows investors to really go back and focus on what's happening with our economy and what's happening with markets and market fundamentals. And I think that has been proven true to form, at least in the last couple of days. You haven't heard a lot about tariffs. You haven't heard a lot about extra taxes. I mean, am I correct in that assumption?
I think you are.
It's sort of, it has sort of fallen, I don't want to say fallen by the wayside, but now we're at the point in time that, I think the market is really starting to focus on earnings. And I think, Harry, I would be a little remiss if I really didn't spend a few more minutes about the first quarter. 60 of the S&P 500 companies are going to report this week. The current consensus earnings per share estimates are calling for year-over-year earnings growth of roughly 24%. We think there's going to be strength in a number of different sectors. Technology, you've seen it already in financials. We've talked a little about energy, and one of the beaten down sectors year to date is telecom. So it's the first time that companies are going to report under the new tax regime, which is going to provide sort of that one-time boost to earnings, pretty much across all sectors. We think that 2018 earnings actually have been revised, Harry, up about 7%, as the full impact of the tax cut and the Job Acts has been digested as we get through the end of the reporting of the first quarter. So we think what's going to happen is that the market should continue to grind higher and fundamentals outweigh all the noise that we kind of talked about and all the negative headlines that have led to the recent market volatility. We do expect volatility to remain during the course of the year. But, strong earnings should prevent, the traditional ordinary corrections, that we know have to be kind of put a stop on it so they're not as severe as one would anticipate. You think about, we went through that 10% move in February, tested it in March a couple times, and now it seems as if the market, maybe, retested. Now we put that base in. And if earnings continue to move onward and upward, then I don't want to sound the alarm that all bets are off and we're back to the races, because I think we're going to we're still going to struggle somewhat this year. It's not going to be a 2017, that's for sure.
Chuck, these are words that I hesitate saying. I don't want to say them, but I have to say them because it's my job as the mayor of the morning, and you'll be able to respond to it. Has the economic growth that we've all been enjoying so just beautifully, has it hit a soft patch?
Harry, I think that some of the employment readings, including the unemployment numbers that we saw recently, and you and Kirk talked about in the last hour, where we're hovering at that 4.1%. But the recent employment earnings that have been reported are worse than expected. Excuse me, global manufacturing levels have, trailed off somewhat. There's a sentiment index that comes out of the University of Michigan, and it fell from 101.4 to a 3-month low, Harry, of 97.8 as we looked at the beginning of April, sort of a preliminary April reading. So we do expect economic data to pick up in the coming months, but we might have hit a little bit of a soft patch here, and that it's not unexpected, but it's something I think that your listeners need to be made aware of.
Yep, very, very sobering, very objective answer to a tough question. Corporate free cash levels remain high. Explain to our listeners what that means.
Well, Harry, as you know, there's been a lot of discussion regarding, the changes with the tax laws, and how corporations, including small businesses, will benefit by having a lower tax rate. One of the things that we had talked about is now that these corporations have excess cash, what are they going to do with the money? Are they going to put it into plant and equipment? Are they going to improve their facility, expand their facility? A fairly recent reading that we came upon is the fact that a lot of the money was being used for buybacks. If you remember, as companies report their quarterly earnings, oftentimes they report a buyback program. They want to try to bring stock in off of the street, use that free cash for that. So if the overall earnings remains the same, the top line remains the same, but you have less outstanding equity or less outstanding stock, then that's going to drive your earnings per share higher. But the other thing that's happening is that companies, because they have so much liquidity now, Harry, there have been 3,000, not 300, not 30, 3,000 deals, corporate deals, including mergers and acquisitions over the past 4 years, totaling $17 trillion. Now, think about, and I'll go back to what you chatted about the last hour, was the fact that it was pretty uncanny that the market for 8 years, we didn't really go anywhere. But then the ninth year, all of a sudden, everything was done over the last 8 years is now taking effect into year 9. So
that makes perfect sense.
So I'm guessing that you think about, over, like I said, 3,000 announcements, mergers, acquisitions over the last 4 years. So cut out 3 of the 4 years and say, okay, really what happened in 2017, and then what's going to happen moving forward. So I think what's going to, you're going to have continued mergers, continues acquisitions, continued share buybacks, and that is all healthy when you look at the long-term, what the long-term impact would be with respect to the domestic equity markets.
Here's another dynamic question that I believe allows the great Chuck Malamut to demonstrate his financial chops. Active management versus passive index funds.
Harry, it seems as if there's always an ongoing race. What performs better? Who gets to the finish line? Who gets to the finish line faster and stronger and better? Is it active management, or is it passive investments, such as owning, the indexes, the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the triple Qs as they're referred to? So what we have seen, historically speaking, when you end up in a market or an environment that we have now, which has significant volatility, at least up to now, interest rates, on the rise, typically active equity management, mutual funds that manage to a particular space, large cap growth, large cap value. When you have increasing interest rates and also at the same time the market volatility, oftentimes what happens is it creates some dispersions amongst securities in the market and individual and sectors. So that allows, these tactical opportunities where a manager can go in and overweight a sector, underweight a sector, overweight a stock, underweight a stock. So, when we go back and look on average, the active U.S. large cap equity funds on average have outperformed their benchmark, Harry, by roughly 200 basis points or 2% since interest rates have bottomed back in July 2016. So we expect, again, as we move forward, that active management should continue to do well. But I think at the end of the day, what we try to encourage with our clients is, because we're never going to know, Harry, is it active? Is it passive? And to what extent? Should you be in large cap, mid cap, small cap, international, growth value blend, or somewhere in between? I think the fact is, if you have a balanced portfolio with the right asset allocation and the correct size and style, then once you drill down, I think it's really important that you own not only passive investments, that being ETFs, index funds, along with some active management, because I would rather be, half right than all wrong, if you know what I mean.
I like that. That's very well said. We're going to come right back. 29 minutes past the hour. You're listening to the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, Chuck Malamut. You can reach the Malamut Group for all of your financial planning needs. All means all. If you're planning for vacation, for college building, retirement planning, any type of milestone type planning, sit down with Chuck and he'll put his concepts of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation to work for you for your long-term health and financial matters. Turn to Chuck Malamut, the official exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010. On the other side of this break, Senator Chris Brown is having his mobile office, and we're going to share the details with you coming up in just a few minutes.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons at 3.
Tuesday edition Sean Hannity Show. Congress reacts to Comey's big press tour and how wrong Comey is on so many different issues, and did Comey maybe violate the law? We'll get into that with Congressman Jim Jordan, Freedom Caucus member of Ohio. That and more on the Tuesday edition of the Sean Hannity Show.
Sean Hannity, weekdays 3 to 6 on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
From personal and business banking to residential and commercial lending. From Kid Smart saving to planning her dream wedding. From saving for your golden years to checking off your bucket list. We're with you every step of the way. Welcome to the bank that treats you like family.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Has your current sales job got you caught in a rut? Are you not making the money you know you're worth? It's time to tune into a new career. Town Square Media Atlantic City is adding full-time advertising executives to sell our full range of products. We're more than a radio company. We're the online advertising experts in South Jersey. Don't miss out on one of the fastest growing careers. Call Mike Rubel, Market President, at 609-645-9797 to schedule your interview. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-283-5948. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-283-5948 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-283-5948 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-283-5948.
This is Senator Chris Brown inviting you to my mobile district office on Wednesday, April 18th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at the Egg Harbor Township Community Center located on English Creek Road. I'll be there to answer any questions you may have on issues like property tax relief, state veterans benefits, or ways to make college affordable. I look forward to seeing you there. If you have any questions, please call me, Senator Chris Brown, at 609-677-8266.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. 33 minutes past the hour. Hurley in the Morning continues with Chuck Malamut, the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. Programming note, 9:05 to 9:35 this morning, we were all set for Dr. Mark Newkirk. Dr. Newkirk, very polite, called me during the break. He is actually doing a very important cancer surgery. Literally during the early 9 o'clock hour, it will begin. We're going to reconvene 1 week from today at 9:05 with Dr. Newkirk, so we'll just reclaim now some unexpected bonus time. Open forum, we'll take your calls. I do know there were a lot of people that wanted to react to yesterday's interview with former Galloway Township Mayor Don Purdy, so we can take advantage of 30 minutes that I did not believe that we had by rescheduling Dr. Newkirk for 1 week from today. Chuck,
you know, Harry, it's just amazing. I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to digress here a little bit. It's just incredible what all of us do for our pets.
Oh, they're members of the family.
It's
cancer
you know,
surgery.
I mean, I look at, you know, our household. It's the same thing, and you know, I guess the beauty of having either a cat or a dog or another animal is that unconditional love, and
There's almost nothing you won't do.
And when you come home after a tough day, they're there for you. And I guess the best news is you can communicate with them, but they're not necessarily communicating back to you.
And we live in rather challenging, I would even say treacherous times where disloyalty is just commonplace, but your wonderful pet, they're unconditional.
So I hope it all goes well for Dr. Newkirk today. Everyone, keeping our fingers crossed that he's able to save another family's, pet, so to speak. But
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I just had to get that in.
Yeah, that's nice.
Sorry for getting off track there a little bit.
It's all good. Volatility, Chuck, is it likely to continue? What's the deal? Equity, how are we doing?
So as we kind of talked about at the beginning of the hour, that volatility has subsided somewhat, but we still think that because we have some higher potential levels of inflation, and that's a possible risk for equities. We think that the markets should be able to overcome that. We've had decent economic growth. We've had strong corporate earnings that we kind of talked about already, and that should bode well for equities. At the same time, especially if the trade that we kind of talked about, sort of subsides. But, what is happening here, markets remain in this consolidation phase. And as a result of that, you're going to see days and weeks of some volatility, given all the economic news that is coming, given all the cross currents that are coming, out of Washington, and not only Washington, but also all over the globe. So, we think that the volatility will continue, but equity tailwinds. We think, Harry, we're still going to get that push of positive equity returns over the course of the year. You think about where we were in January. We had set those highs, rolled back, gave back a fair amount of that in February, and then again in March. And so right now, halfway through April, we've had virtually no change if you look at the equity market. So, we think the higher end of the trading range, anywhere from 2,750 in the S&P 500 to say 3,000, is very, very doable. Downside risks are still out there. And it might take a little bit of time. And again, if we get a good, robust, better than expected, stronger quarterly earnings, then I think we could push through and make those new highs. But I don't think that 2018 is going to be quite as easy as it was in 2017 per se. So remember, we came in and said high single digits, low double digits. Harry, we're still going to stick with that. I think that's very, very achievable.
Good.
But you got to think about it. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We don't look day to day.
Right. And we were coming off of a year that was basically the perfect storm.
Yes, perfect storm, no volatility. Every move was on the upside. Everything was beautiful. Everyone became very complacent. And as you had that run up in January, then all of a sudden you flip the page, and now you're in February, and it was a whole different story that unfolded in February and into March as well.
Wild card question. What do you think of these hysterical, I'm actually jading the question, but I just feel it's so over the top, but they're pretty voluminous, these alarming, they're commercials or opinions, these different things where you hear these people sounding all kinds of alarms that 2008 is coming all over again. Then the ones that don't say that are saying it's worse than that. It's worse than 2008. I don't see any fundamentals right now that indicate anything like that.
You're right, Harry. There's absolutely no comparison to where we are now versus 2008, 2009. I mean, what you oftentimes hear and watch are that is the blame game. This happened in 2008 because, this happened in 2009 because, and as a result of those becauses, what has happened is that there's been a lot of shifting within the government, within the regulations, so we don't end up with another 2008. But the one thing that we have to be very conscious of, that there are pitfalls out there that we have to be concerned about, and potentially, when you need to go left, you might have to go right, to avoid one of those, what I'll call it, an unexpected, how's this, Harry, an unexpected pothole.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they need A&S Construction then. Because they're my official pothole repair. Now, Chuck, this is one that's, I think, very, very important, really, in any economy, even important in a good economy or a great economy. Household income, which had been stagnant for many, many years, and in some cases actually going south, not even treading water. Forget inflation, not even treading water, but going the other way. And obviously people downsized out, and full-time people cut down to part-time. Part-time people cut out altogether. So it was really, terrible. But household income is actually on the rise.
Yeah, so Harry, if you go back and you look, if it's 2016, 2017, the average or the median household income was roughly $59,000 to $61,000. And that is the highest ever recorded that we've seen in our country. The previous record that was in place was $58,600, and that was in 1999. So you think about it took us literally 16 to 17 years to push through that number. Now, the numbers that I gave you are adjusted for inflation, but you think about the fact that finally, after all these years, we're now tracking where the average American has more money in their pocket to spend than they did, say, 17 to 20, back to 17 years ago.
Chuck, as you know, you're one of them. I'm one of them. We have a record number of baby boomers coming of age. America will have more retirees than any period in American history. It's happening literally as we speak, as baby boomers continue to hit retirement position. Can Americans live on a budget and retire comfortably? Because it used to be that you could work, you'd work a career, and at age 65, sometimes even sooner, you could retire. That seemed to be lost for much of the past decade, just gone, where people were either going back to work or couldn't retire to begin with. Can Americans live on a budget and retire comfortably?
Harry, that's a really good question, because
I think it's one of the most important questions in our life.
Mike and I spend an inordinate amount of time with our clients and prospective clients, trying to understand what their needs, wants, and desires are. And one of the critical questions is, what does it take to maintain your lifestyle in today's dollars after taxes? Now, you kind of push that forward to the projected retirement date. You adjust that number for inflation.
And also life expectancy.
Yes, and life expectancy obviously has increased as well. But this, I almost fell out of my chair, Harry, when I read this the other day. But believe it or not, when you look at this statistic, 2 out of 3 American workers, so 65%, believe that even if they work until age 65, they're not going to have enough money saved to meet their retirement needs because they haven't done a very good job planning. Only less than 50% of American workers have come out and said they've either done an excellent or a very good job of living within a budget. So if you can't live within a budget during your work time, all of a sudden you're going to retire and you're going to change your habits.
If you didn't do it then, how are you going to do it now?
Correct. So I think the two go obviously hand in hand. And without a plan, you don't know if you can retire at age 63, 65, 67, or work. You have to work for the rest of your life. I mean, I think a
lot of people feel the latter.
Well, I think they know. I mean, I think people truly know if they haven't done a good job planning, and they haven't accumulated enough assets and have reduced their liabilities, and they know deep down whether or not they're going to have to keep working. And do they work one job, multiple jobs? I mean, look, you have a passion in what you do. We have a passion in what we do. So
we're not watching the clock.
So going to work, it's not like you get up in the morning and say, "Oh my goodness, I got to go to work. I hate what I do." That's not the case with you.
No.
Certainly not the case with me, and certainly not the case with our team.
How about the numbers say it's the case with
But
more
it's
than
the
70%?
case. Yeah, that is
stunning.
That's remarkable, and so consider yourself to be very fortunate in doing what you do, and just continue on. But I think the fact that most people, like I said, 2 out of 3 have not done a good job either accumulating enough to get to retirement, or have not done a very good job living within their budget. Now, it's never too late to get started. If you say, okay, I'm 60 and I haven't done a good job, I need to work forever. Not necessarily so. See if you can, rework or change some of your habits, and chances are you might be able to achieve some of those, those goals that you have set up for yourself.
If you don't plan for retirement, I guess you shouldn't expect that it can comfortably be there. It's like anything else. If you wanted to run a marathon, if you don't train, how are you going to run 26 and a half miles?
Exactly.
How are you going to do it? You got to do the work in order to reap the benefit. But if you got to the point, Chuck, where you're 66 or 67, whatever your year is, anybody who's listening right now, where you can, and some still at 65, depending on when you were born, if you get to that full retirement age, where say you've been paying into Social Security for 50 years, and you could get the maximum 30-some hundred a month for the rest of your life, but if you have to continue to work, you have a negative that happens if you earn too much. Then your Social Security benefit is adversely affected. So it's really it's tricky, isn't it?
So what we have found is that if you can obviously collect at age 62. All the analysis and studies that we've done is our findings are that if you can wait to collect at full retirement age, which is either age 66 or 66 and a half, 66 and 10 months, 67, it all depends. It's
how old you
so convoluted the way when that was changed not too long ago. Social Security benefits on average, Harry, increased by roughly 8% a year. So if you can push it to collect at full retirement, that seems to be the right answer to that question. The other question we are faced with, well, do I wait until I'm age 70? And then this becomes a numbers game. I mean,
but if that's not enough for you to be able to live and you continue to work, then your Social Security is adversely affected.
It is. So it's sort of a double-edged sword that you're faced with. But at the end of the day, what we encourage, and a lot of clients and prospective clients actually dread the fact that we're making this recommendation. It's never too early to go down and make an appointment to go see Social Security, because they have a lot more depth and knowledge as to how the process works and what you can collect and when you can collect and what is most, and then you can make that critical decision when to get started.
And Social Security is taxed, correct?
A portion can be taxed. That's correct.
What I think is hilarious about that is you've maybe paid into it for 50 years. You've already paid the taxes once, and now you're paying the taxes again.
Look, unfortunately, it's 8:48 and we're running out of time, and we could probably spend the next 10-plus minutes. I received a number of emails last night, which I found nothing to be short of incredible and sad but true when it comes to our government. But whether it's local or state or federal, I think for the most part it's just nothing short of being out of control. And now because of that and this voracious appetite to just spend, we or meaning the government, it has to find ways to create additional revenue stream.
Yeah. So they do regressive things because of their own bad behavior. They do more punitive things to all of us. That's not right.
No, it's not right. It's
stink.
It always goes back, and you think about the discussion that we had for several years and kind of forgot about it. Healthcare. How can our representatives that go to Washington have a different health care
because they're special
compared to what is available to you,
because they're special,
and to me, and to all of us that work.
I know.
And, you know, it's like anything else. You ask the question, but you never, ever get the answer.
And the worst thing was they made it seem like, that's why you have to respect somebody like Lobiondo. He never took it. He didn't take a car allowance. He didn't take the health insurance. Pays for his own car, pays for his own insurance, pays for his own health care insurance. You gotta love that, because not many of them do that. Chuck, awesome program for all of your financial planning needs. Turn to Chuck Malamut, 609-383-2010. Until next week.
Harry, thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Great stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, there is an election tomorrow, and as the mayor of the morning, I would be on top of this, of course. Tim Mancuso is on the ballot. I'll explain next.
Health Update, brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
The ACUA Annual Earth Day Festival is this Sunday at the ACUA Environmental Park in Egg Harbor Township. It's a free event for the whole family to have some fun and learn more about making our Earth a better place. Here with more is President of the ACUA, Rick Dovey. Tell us about the day.
It's really filled with lots of activities and exhibits, environmental exhibits, tours of our wastewater plant and the solar and wind farm, recycling center. We have dozens and dozens of vendors and interesting entertainment for kids and older folks. It's really a fun day and a lot to learn.
Lot to learn and a wonderful day. It's the Earth Day Festival this Sunday. Thanks so much, Rick Dovey.
Brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, StoloffInjuryLaw.com. Attention you expect, results you deserve.
This is Harry Hurley for All Season Solar, our official and exclusive solar energy provider to the Hurley in the Morning program. They design and they install the most attractive, efficient, state-of-the-art solar photovoltaic systems from the world's leading manufacturers. What I love about dealing with All Season Solar, they're your single point of contact. They do the system design, engineering, your building permits, installation, and the ultimate glorious utility connection day. They take care of everything under the sun so that you can sit back and reap the savings. Call Frank Neal today, 609-317-5491. That's Frank Neal, All Season Solar, 609-317-5491. There's never been a better time to go solar. The benefits are there. New Jersey leads the East Coast and second largest in the entire United States in terms of solar energy panel installation. No deposits, no hidden fees, no out-of-pocket costs. All Season Solar. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you.
How do you describe fun? Is it relaxing by the beach year-round at Landshark Bar and Grill? Is it a hot streak followed by frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville? Is it award-winning gourmet dining and live music and over 800 new slots and all the above? Find your fun at Resorts Casino Hotel, a Mohegan Sun property in Atlantic City. And with over $100 million in new renovations, there's more fun than ever. Get started at resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio, 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
.53 past the hour. Thank you for waking up early in the morning. This is something nobody's talking about, but I know that we have many educators, both the supportive staff and also all of the teachers and administrators. There's an election in Atlantic City tomorrow, and it hasn't really been competitive for my entire broadcasting career. Marcia Genova, I believe, has been the president of the Atlantic City Education Association, if I'm not mistaken, for my entire career. And if not, for most of my entire career. So that's 27 years. I don't remember anyone before her since I've been on air. I remember dealing with Myron Plotkin when I was a board member in Ventnor on different things. But in terms of the ACEA, Atlantic City Education Association, or your teachers union, for your teachers and your supportive staff. Oh, supportive staff has a separate president, don't they? At least we did in Ventnor, I think. No, I think Marcia is in charge of all that for the certified and the supportive staff. But in any event, I've learned just recently that Marcia Genova is not running for re-election. This is the first time, really, that this has been open or competitive, however you want to refer to it, in decades. And I have learned and confirmed I have not had the opportunity to speak to him about it. But I know that Tim Mancuso, former longtime, almost record-setting, with the consecutive terms that he served in the 6th Ward, and he retired one term ago as 6th Ward councilman, did not run for re-election. He would have won another term had he done it 4 years ago, or just under 4 years ago. It's coming up in a year or so. But he is running. Tim Mancuso is a teacher. He is running for president of the Atlantic City Education Association. Let me tell you my thoughts. You need a person in that position that's not afraid of the administration. Now, you have to trust me when I tell you this. And I'm not just speaking to people that have a vote tomorrow. I'm just talking to everybody at large about this. I have a tremendous amount of experience in dealing with countless numbers of boards of education and countless numbers of presidents of teacher and supportive staff organizations. I've dealt with fearless people like Bill Ryan, who represented the supportive staff in Ventnor, who was not afraid, and it was unfortunately at times to his own detriment because he would take on the tough issues. He was not afraid to speak truth to power, and he represented his men and women, I mean, with great integrity and extremely faithfully, loyally, and did a great job. And I will tell you now, I'm not going to mention names. I'm fine with mentioning a name of someone I'm paying a high compliment to. But I also know many examples of sellouts. They sell out their own membership for whatever's in it for them. Either they're people that it will return back into the rank and file, if you will, whether it's a supportive staff or a certified staff member, and so they don't do the job correctly. And all I can tell you is with Tim Mancuso, he took on fearless fights for 20-plus years as a member of city council. He understands politics, and if you don't think there's politics in school affairs, then that's hilarious, because if I'm your first warning signal that there are, guess what? There are. Wake up. The politics at the school level sometimes is worse than anywhere else, because you have pointed-headed academia types that act like they're not political, and they're hugely political. So if I was a certified staff member or a supportive staff member and I could vote tomorrow in Atlantic City, and I'll tell you how it works. I think most of the people that actually get the right to vote, you know the process. It's after school hours, and typically a ridiculously small number. And it's so important to your collective bargaining, your current contract, your next contract. If something happens to you, say like a Phil Eisenstein, if you don't have a strong union, what happened to him is just a disgrace at so many levels. I don't even have time to get into it. But I would absolutely be casting my vote if I were a teacher or a supportive staff member in Atlantic City for Tim Mancuso, because he'll fight for the rank and file. He's not afraid. He's been in positions in government, high level, chairman of finance. He knows his way around. He understands the budget. He also understands the politics. And I think he's the kind of person that would not be afraid to go in there and fight for his people. I'm surprised that he would even want it, to be honest with you, because for over 20 years, he had all that aggravation. But that's what I would do. You have somebody that understands the process and would work very, very hard for any member who has either charges presented, and you need somebody that's not afraid to fight for you and to see that you don't get the book thrown at you when it's something de minimis. And yet, if you have a sellout leader, you never know what's going to happen. They don't fight for you, or they go in there, and next thing you know, you're done. Hey, what happened? I did the best I could. Well, your best wasn't good enough. So that's what I would do. The election is tomorrow. I wish I would have known about this before today. I would have been talking about it. But the election is tomorrow. Again, you vote after school. If past is prologue, and it typically is, a ridiculously small number of people. Think about that. You're already at school. You don't hang out just to vote? when this is somebody that can actually help you if anything ever goes wrong or the next time it's time to go do battle and collective bargaining with the Board of Education and the different committees that form in order to start the budgeting process. It's a very important selection tomorrow. So while everybody's talking about all these other elections, there is a key election for the president of the Atlantic City Education Association. I would vote for Tim Mancuso. That's my feeling about it.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Seeking sanctuary from a sanctuary state. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A city in California finalizes its plan to opt out of a sanctuary state law amid protests in Los Alamitos last night. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
Well, Dave, that unrest came from a 4-1 vote by the Los Alamitos City Council to opt out of the state law. The vote followed a tense 5-hour debate, and it was the required second reading of that ordinance. This woman says she supports